never done that. This is the only time you're not busy.
Oh, there's Eden. Perfect.
Hey.
Hey.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody's here.
Eden just showed up. Eden, come on over.
Hi.
There she is. Hi, Eden. Wow, we're together again. We meet in the strangest places. Hey, one of the things I wanted to start with before we got into it, and we can include it or not, is I really just wanted to personally talk about all you guys, and then we can go from there. How's that sound? I'll do the easiest, start with the easiest ones first, then we'll go, and that is 7. Hi, 7. Immediately, he reminded me of one of my favorite boyhood friends, a guy named Joe. And when I went with Joe on scout trips, he was in our scout group, or any trip really, Joe had this way of telling the story of what we did, and it turned out to be better than the trip. And so I love hanging with Joe. And when I think about the editing that 7 does, it is just amazing. And one of the examples I give, and some of you may remember, Cammy and Ben weren't there. It was just us kids. And there's 2 guys in the middle of nowhere, and one offered us this can of Coke. And it wasn't really a big Coke. It was one of those little tiny Cokes. And I accepted it, and I looked at all you guys, and it happened to be a time that we were really short of food too. And so we sort of passed this teeniest little can of Coke around, and the guys left. And when they left, 7 looked at us all, and he said, you know, that guy just gave us his trash. And I thought, yeah, you know, for the trail magic, tragic, but I think 7 just really explained the situation for what it was, even though it's great to have one sip of Coke. But I really enjoy his editing, and an editor certainly can tell a different story, and oftentimes, in all times, a better story. So 7, I just really value you, and you do remind me of Joe Maloney from way back when. The next one is Eden, you remind me of working with some of the greatest people in the world at the National Aquarium. We had scientists and exhibit designers and all people who would be a part of the wonderful exhibits. And we would have 10,000 people come and look at fish every day. But yet when I remember this one exhibit we had that we had this famous artist, a guy named Jahuli. He was a one-eyed glass maker, but he was an artist, and he's all over the world. He's the most famous glass maker that you'll find. And we were going to partner with him for an exhibit called Fish Out of Glass Houses. So he was going to make all these amazing underwater glass habitats for the fish. And but yet, even though we're all excited, some of our fish people, our aquarists said, you know, cleaning this isn't going to be good for us nor for the fish. It's just not a habitat that, even though it's going to be fun and extremely popular, we have to pass on it. And I'm thinking about the discipline, even though it's collaborative, that they had. It was, you know, the best for our group. And Eden's sort of like that too. She has her own discipline with that maybe, who knows, but yet we all know that it's there. But yet she's also very collaborative in making, in living her life and in being a part of our lives. And so I value all those friends back at the aquarium. I talk to many every other day or so. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in her life. The next one I think is memory, and memory for me is sort of a reflection of all of you. And so I see bits and pieces of her, and I've got 3 brothers, and I see bits and pieces of them inside of me. And and so when I try to pin her down, it may be a little harder because she has all these different sides. But yet, I think there's really a kindness and a lovingness that she has. But it goes to a point where we were hiking late in the evening when I was really hungry, and she starts talking about her grandmother's recipes in her garden, and she would talk about food to the point she knew that after a while I would sort of complain, which I should have never done, because she would lay it on and lay it on until my stomach would grumble. I'd be thinking about it all the time. Then Filia would jump on board. So whatever memory didn't remember, and to the point where I was hungry now all the time. In fact, I would be taking like Pop-Tarts and sleep with me, and like 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I would eat and say, "There you go, memory," just to get even. I do appreciate some of the craft work that you did. I know we collaborated on a necklace, which was really cool. I know that people say that, the youngest person, one of the youngest people hiking the Appalachian Trail was Filia, and how cool that was. But for me, it was being the shortest person to complete the Appalachian Trail was even more spectacular. And as we were coming down the Dragon's Tooth, she was right in front of me. And it was hard for all of us, but to be half my size, to see Filia as she's scaling these rocks, it had to be sort of like Everest, it was scary for me. And it was scary for me watching what she was doing, kind of like Spider-Man in a way, but yet she was relentless for those rocks. And then parts of, we were up in those New England rocks too. And she was really spectacular. And so, yes, maybe the youngest, but yet on the other hand, the shortest was a fabulous accomplishment. And congratulations for being the shortest or the youngest to complete the trail. I think if it wasn't for Rainier, I probably wouldn't have hung with you. Rainier was so much fun responding to me. And not only having fun with stuff like that, but I do remember a time when all you guys were wasted and laying around, and somebody had a soiled diaper and nobody really wanted to step up. And I said, "I'll do it. I'll change a diaper." And it was sort of like my grandson, Hudson. So
we like never seen you before, so.
He hiked the trail with us. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he was like having my grandson along the trail too, which certainly was really cool. And then there's Ben, and I think about the traits that I admired most about Ben. And as you may recall, I worked at the National Aquarium and had 250 people with all types of diverse departments that worked for me, and 10,000 people coming every day. And I look at Ben, and it's not necessarily any one trait that he had that stood out, although many of them certainly do, but it was a way that he could adapt. As things are changing, and just not adapt for himself, but the process that, hey, I have 7 other people that I need to listen to. And it turns out that he was very supportive in everyone. And I think many people, and in a way, the book brought that out quite a bit, that it just wasn't, I'm the leader, we're going to Katahdin or bust type of thing, but it was being very supportive of everybody's needs. And it was sort of amazing that it all ended up on Mount Katahdin successfully. But I think a large part of it is because of his leadership, which many people don't have the traits to be able to support people and share that leadership on the way to their goals. Cami, last but not least, is really the conscience. And I know it was popular years ago that people would have bracelets that would say, what would Jesus do? It's kind of like your family is, what would Cami do? What would mom do? And I know that I got that feeling too, that anytime that I was with you, how would Cami feel about this one? And there is a conscience, I think, that all of you have in your hearts that she has given you one way or the other, shared with you or developed with you. And I think part of that's in my heart as well. So thank you, Cami, for that. So that's hopefully, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Dove because I don't want to forget her. She's probably the most like me in a way. I went to college on an athletic scholarship, but really I ran a newspaper in high school with our Boy Scout Explorer post. And I thought I wanted to go into journalism. And one of the things that it taught me how to write, but more importantly, I got involved in photography and got to make some movies and things like that at school. And I know that Dove got interested in photography. I could see myself in there, but more importantly, it wasn't necessarily photography. It's her following her passions, and what was the name of the Joe Dodge place that we were up? Yeah, and playing the piano, and I do have some. I do play a mandolin and a guitar, and I still go back some of the songs that we sang, Dove, but Joe Dodge. Remind me of the song. It was what's that?
Was it Piano Man?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Piano Man. It was. I'll think of it any second. I got
more song.
Oh, Glorious.
Uh,
Or was it Good Old Days? Or Good Old Days, maybe?
Yeah, Good Old Days. Yeah, Good Old Days. And I think I got a part of it on video because I think I got to capture some of this, and I just missed the end of it. But you're sort of like me in a way. Whatever those passions tend to be, I encourage you certainly to follow those as they ebb and flow. And I know that's been successful in my life. And I hate giving people guidance, but yet following your passion, whether it's with your career, your love life, the things, your hobbies, by all means, that turns out that when you're doing things you really enjoy, life eventually seems to turn out well for you. When you're doing things you don't like, life is not as fun and it's not as worth it. And I don't think we're as successful as when we go down those paths.
Yeah.
So you guys wrote a book or something?
Yeah.
I did not know of you guys very much at all at the beginning. I didn't really see your videos, but yet I had seen parts of your video, and I don't know if it was after you started the trail or right before. Maybe it's when, hey, we're about ready to start, and so I knew a little bit, and maybe I saw one or two of those, and we were at Betty Gap Spring, and it was it was my first 20-mile day, and I was planning on going to a shelter there, and had college kids from the Midwest that were all over the place, and so I went a little bit farther, and I camped by the spring there, or the little stream, and that next morning I got up and went, and there's these couple of tents there and some people around, and I kind of peered through the trees, and there was a memory. And I said, I know this person somewhere. And at first I didn't recall, but later on I said, gee, I think it's that family hiking the trail. And so for me, I went back, it's mile 97 was the first time that at least two of us had eyeballs on me. And so that was in Tennessee, about what, 20 miles or so into Tennessee.
Wow, what a crazy, my first memory is in the Smokies, I think.
Yeah, I remember walking up on a shelter and we were taking a break. You were telling us about Brad Pitt and
I thought for sure you were going to say Brad Pitt in one of your stories today.
Well, if we make a movie, he can certainly play me, right?
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah, that's an easy answer.
Hey, Rainier wants to say something, and then he's going to leave. What do you want to say to HOPS?
I want to say, I just turned 4.
What was that?
I turned 4 now.
Oh, you're 4. My son Hudson turned 4 too, and we were able to get him backpacking on the trail with us in Maryland. And he is so proud of those 4 miles that he hiked. And hey, congratulations that you're 4. I got a picture of you, Rainier, at Woods Hole on the porch, which maybe you guys saw at some point, and I always treasure that.
Wait, you take a picture with me? Wait, what?
Yeah, it was a picture of you and me together on the porch, and I'll treasure it forever. It was very nice.
So it's crazy, like in writing this book, and even in hearing you share the story about the first time you saw us, and I don't have any memory of that. You know how many different vantage points there are of this one experience. So I'm so excited to hear what it was like for you to be exposed in the course of the book, like what it was like to read that from I guess really my perspective, and I tried to include the families.
Well, it was just not refreshing or more than interesting. It was for me maybe the first real time that I could link in to my inner self that I've been carrying since I left the trail. And that and I keep on thinking it's a lot like Harry Potter when he comes back from the Hogwarts. He can't talk to anybody about what it was like or what it is like in this wonderful world of magic. In our days, I think through hikers we can talk about, but your book more than anything got very deeply into the nitty gritty and the joys and the fears of the Appalachian Trail. And it is just so hard to go out and tell people, but the reflection on other through hikers and even much more in detail in your book came back to me, and I said, oh, that's what it's like. So I read it once, and then I listened, or I didn't listen yet. I read it on Kindle again the second time, and I can't wait. Is you dropping audio, right, pretty soon?
Yeah, hopefully in this next month, we'll have an audiobook, and the kids record their journal sections, and we even have like some behind the scenes commentary after each chapter that different family members recorded.
Great. I think you guys get to talk among yourselves and you get to see your videos, which are right there. But yet, you know, I think for the bulk of us Appalachian Trail through hikers, you know, it's sort of like we're still out there, you know, camping by ourselves. And when you finally get to see another one, it is glorious to be able to share stories. You know, we're spread out all over the world, and when you hear some of the victories and or somebody getting engaged with another through hiker, those moments are just so precious. And I know you know Eddie and Kat and those folks, and you got to eat pizza on Dove's birthday, and but yet those things are so cool. And even though everybody didn't hike the same you know, part of the trail together, I think even people that did it years ago, we're still like brothers and sisters with them because we've done the same thing and suffered through every one of those miles, and every one of those rocks, and going through every one of those streams together. And but
Yeah,
more than anything, you're the backstory to all that.
When you sent that text message right after you read it, it was so fun to see that's how you experienced it, because I felt the same way, that there was so much in a through hike. It's so hard to talk about, that I was so glad to hear you were able to relive even your trail experience.
I wish that there was like some way that as people were writing, we could just jot down, oh yeah, this is how I felt. And that it may, you know, maybe that there'd be hundreds and hundreds of people that could say, oh, this is how I experienced Betty Creek and those types of things, or whatever it was. And for me, the book was, like I said, I had to read it twice right away. So yeah.
You guys can ask any questions too. What was it like reading about yourself? You're not a tiny character in the story. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm in there 15 times or so. And I know when I mailed my copies of the book, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, this is where I was, type of thing. And but
how many copies did you buy?
What's that?
How many copies did you buy?
I think I've got 5 or 6, although I do more encouraging that, you know, have people buy their own as well. But I've got some more that I'm certainly going to be doing. But it is like an out-of-body experience, because I saw myself as a character in the book, but then, you know, almost instantaneously, the thoughts of what I was going through at the time went through my mind. And you know, a tough hill is a tough hill. And I think, you know, when we get to the top, we would all sit there and pretty much agree what that experience was like, which was really helpful for us solo hikers, you know, that it just was not me thinking, oh my goodness, was that the hardest thing I ever did? But for you guys, you know, I had 8 people saying, yeah, that was like, you know, the roughest thing. And certainly the beauty of the Appalachian Trail is every day we had those experiences, you know, whatever it happened to be, it just smacked us in the face. And for some reason, we're the type of people that stood back up in the next morning and said, you know, bring it on, we're coming again. And it's the book, you know, it got to the point where, gee, how did we actually do that? You know, again and again and again. I guess if Harry Potter read his own books, you know, that would have kind of been like my experience. That somebody sort of understands this
What was
thing.
your favorite book scene that you read about yourself in the book?
About myself, I think it was probably with Eden and my socks. And so I think about going and I could see through my socks. And when I went to, I guess this was Joe Dodge, you know, there too. And I went through and I said, oh, they have Darn Tough. And I take my socks up and the guy says, oh yeah, we can make the switch. And then, you know, he kind of paused and he said, yeah, but you got to put some holes in them. And so then I went back and I'm sitting next to Eden, and, you know, I got my trekking pole and I'm trying to do what the guy told me to do. And so her discipline sort of kicked in. And so that was, I felt like I was talking to a senior chorus at the aquarium about, a fish business and what we should be doing with the new seahorses or something. But, we were both right, that I guess I could have continued hiking, but, from Jim Dodge, we had some rough things ahead of us. And I thought, oh, new socks. Yes, the guy agrees. I just have to do this. And that was a part that I don't care if we kept you guys awake. I was trying to win the argument, Eden, I love you. You know it, right?
Were there any surprising parts about
it was
you?
also great about me,
or even the experiences you had with us that you saw differently after from the book side or something?
I think the part that was so moving to me, which was moving there too, but even more dramatic in the book, that as I read the book, I cried, where in real life I didn't, was when Dove started carrying Rainier. And so I, I wasn't there at that instance per se, but as I knew the story, it's kind of like, seeing Titanic, how it ends, but yet to see some of the ways that maybe it wouldn't have ended that way if Dove wouldn't have just said, hey, I'm gonna take Rainier on my back and carry him. He's not heavy, he's my brother, right? And so that was really moving for me to read about, although, I guess I was in the vicinity at the time, or in the area, but that was really a highlight for me of the book, and moving for me to read it for sure.
Wow, that's cool. What was your favorite part?
Well, I think probably that was, I also enjoyed reading about the end of the trip, because I wasn't there. And so even though I know what the Titanic's end story was, it was nice to see it blow by blow and how it unfolded. Certainly Hudson and making that sign was, was so wonderful, and I was cheering that along the way. But then looking at that question again, there's parts of it that were just so damn hard. Just not the trail itself, but getting sick and not having enough food, or trying to get to that next water source. I know I tell people all the time that the trail is really, really hard, but until you sort of get into the book and go through that, oh yeah, this was extremely, extremely difficult, and most people don't finish it. No party of 8 ever finishes this, unless it's the Crawfords,
Was there a part that was hard for you to read, like almost like traumatic going back to, or just difficult to experience again?
Well, I have to go back to Eden and our socks, but no, that was that I was surprised it was in the book, but I was really happy that it was. I think that leaving you guys in my, everybody's, there's a different take on that. I know that you said we're going back for the marathon, and that we're going to meet your parents down the road, and it was going to be like 20 miles or so down. And I knew that sticking with you guys 10 miles a day, it was 2 days off or something like that. And And it was almost immediate. Like I said, yeah, $10, 10 miles a day isn't going to make it for me. I'm really heading north here. And so
Oh,
we
because
had
you're
gone
talking
through.
about because we invited you to come to the marathon.
Oh, I didn't.
Is that
I
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I I I don't recall being invited to the marathon, especially because I wasn't ever going to run it.
Yeah.
But we had been through a lot there. We had come down to Dragon's Tooth. We met the Changs. We got sick. We were at the home place and had a fabulous meal. We got caught and kicked off the mountain by a fire, and we couldn't get back on. And we came back, and we had to go around. And then it was then hearing that you're going back in 2 days, and then the mileage for me wasn't going to be enough, and sort of leaving you, outside of on a parking lot, uh, that was very sad, and just going off on my own, and uh, so that was probably the lowest point for me.
Hmm. Wow, that's cool. Was there any sections that you thought, I mean, how accurate was it from your side, or were there things that were really different from your perspective of like the same thing?
Uh, well, I'm a solo hiker, and so part of the trail was that I enjoy being in a tent. Uh, and when I go to sometimes campsite spot when you guys weren't there, I would go way beyond. I love the water source, but I would go to the places where if I died that night, nobody would ever find me. I, I would hear the noises in the woods, the animals, those types of things. But I just truly love being so totally isolated. And for me, I felt extremely safe. I felt that, oh my goodness, this is exactly where I would want to be. And then I would go from that to being with the Crawfords, which was different. But then all of a sudden, we were invited to Trail Magic like I've never seen, with food and rides, and all of which I certainly got to enjoy, uh, even though that typical, I think there was probably a level that I thought to myself, okay, I pretty much had enough of this wonderful, Trail Magic, and it's time to get back. But that was a different reality for me, being a solo hiker. And although everybody hikes solo, even Filia there for a while, that I think maybe her memory and I were off by ourselves, and at some point that mountain's hard enough that we would sort of get separated. But you don't finish the Appalachian Trail with people. Yeah, they help you, but you do it by yourself. You really do. It's a personal experience, just not for me, but for the Crawfords. It's Memory's experience, and Dove's experience, and Cammie's experience, and Ben, and Eden. It's your personal thing that you've done. And I think so many people, they lump the family together as a family, and yes, they should. But I wanted to start off talking about each and every one of you, because it is so personal. You've had my personal experience, and maybe collectively, but yet it was your own individual experience, and you should be saluted for that accomplishment.
Anything else you guys want to ask or say?
Thank you for sharing all that.
Thank you.
That was
really nice.
I have some carpentry skills. I should come down and help you with that house. I've seen. Yeah, maybe when I get my my vaccine, I should come down and help you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Anything else, Hops? Like in reading the book, and you saw, you had your own experience, and you saw a lot of ours. Was there anything that you felt was missing, or if you could have written it or added it, that you would want to say in terms of major themes of your through hike and the experience?
Uh, I, I think you've done a good job on this, but yet there are so many really difficult sections of the hike, and that maybe that you could say. By the way, and it could be something at the end of the book that you could have said, these are our top 10 hardest things that we experienced in the Crawfords. And so you would go back, and so people, they're reading your book for many different reasons. You know, I think some are, hey, I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail and want to see what it's like. Some are really certainly in the, gee, a family did this, you know, I got a family too, I wonder what it's going to be like. But I think maybe, you know, by the way, we're through hikers. These are the 10 things that were, or and maybe the 10 best things, you know, that we did a survey of our family, and this is what it turned out to be. And these are, and I think people would, you know, your accomplishments are tremendous. And I think you could, I don't say play it up, just list them out. You know, this
All
is
right,
what
what are
and why, you know, why.
What do you think are the top 10 hardest? We'll come up with them right now. What comes to your mind?
Well, I think I mentioned rock scrambles for Filia, that people should give her more credit for being half my size, in you know, memories right there as well. And then everybody else carrying Rainier up those very difficult and dangerous scrambles. And it's one thing to say they're hard, but when you're kind of looking over, gee, if I slide off here, my life is over type of experiences, they are real. And thank God that they didn't come and smack you in the face, because they've got to. And it's easy to sit in your room and hear that, but when it's raining or cold or icy, and you're looking over that cliff, it's scary. It's very, very scary. And you guys got through it. So, you know, I'm trying to remember some of the one in the Smokies that, and you know, we'll talk about the snow there, but there was Charlie's Bunyan, was it? Or there was some places really close to Charlie's Bunyan that I remember going to the edge and thinking, oh my God, I heard that Charlie's Bunyan was crazy. I think that's the name of it, but that was a little bit scary in the weather that we had. Spantown Rick was with me. I don't know if you remember, but during the shelters, and I remember he was between me and I think Ben on the top before you kind of let out. And I don't know if it was the last night that you were in the shelter before you went to the restrooms, or the night before, but you know, hiking through that tall snow, with the roads all being closed. And then for me, when we called, we had somebody that we were hiking with that made it to the shelter and just with hypothermia went out. And he was basically unconscious. And so
That's right, yeah.
Rick and I got on the phone to the Smoky Mountain Rangers and said, we got someone who's crashed for hypothermia. We can't rouse him. And the ranger that we got a hold of, he said, all the roads are closed. You're on your own. We can't help you. And gave us some ideas of maybe some things that we could do. But immediately we're warming up water bottles and throwing everything that we had on this poor guy. And fortunately, he woke up alive the next morning. But you know, it's one thing to say, oh, I hiked through the Smokies in the snow like we all did, but yet to see that we could have been one of those people that were, you know, and if he would have been on his own, you know, God knows if he would have made it the Gatlinburg, you know, 2 or 3 days later. And I did see, not him, but the young people that were with him. They had a dog. So the dog in the Smokies, remember? But it was, what's that?
Yeah, I remember them. I met
Yeah,
them
it
in
was,
Gatlinburg.
yeah, emotional, support animal. And I saw them at Trail Days the next year, and I asked, he said, yeah, he made a full recovery. I don't think any of those guys really finished the trail. Uh, their cotton clothing probably did them in, but uh, uh, just some really scary times.
Well, anything else you want to say, Hops, while we got you here?
Let me talking to you guys. It takes me out of my stride here. Uh, I think I hit. I have some questions for you. Number one, what's next?
Oh, good one.
You want to answer that?
Sure. Well, we just thought of a plan for this summer that is tentative, but we would like to hike the John Muir Trail and then do the Wonderland Trail again, which for us, that would be our 6th time if we did it again. But we haven't hiked it in 6 years, so. And then another plan of ours is in the summer of 22 or April 22 of 22. We want to hike the PCT. So we'll see. Rainier will be 6 at that point. So I feel like that's a pretty good age to tackle that. But yeah.
Yeah, I like all those three. John Muir was one of my heroes when I was Eden and Dove's age, reading about him and going to Yosemite. Have you guys been there at all? Yosemite National Park.
I've been there once a long time ago.
Well, for the family, and I think the PCT goes through there, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? That
Yep.
it is the backpackers' holy cathedral. It's El Capitan, and in fact, one of my friends that I met, a guy named Chango, who was a through hiker. Although I don't know if I don't think he made it. He named himself after one of the famous rock climbers on El Capitan, but Half Dome and the beautiful Yosemite Valley. It's hard to picture anything. And I think it goes near the Teton. Well, maybe not. I forget. Maybe that's the CDT trail that goes through the Tetons. But I certainly want to do the Wonderland Trail at some point. Linda is this Tuesday seeing her surgeon and thinking about another mechanical knee. And the good news is we've been hiking 5-6 miles on her new one, but she's got 2 knees and her old one is making noises when we do that. So yeah, gee, you're hiking 5-6 miles, but yet there is some pain there. So we're hoping that we got delayed because her surgeon broke her foot, and so now hopefully she can be doing surgery. So maybe later in the summer we can be doing more. But we'd be going to the Camino, in Spain and other places. I climbed Mount Whitney, which I guess the PCT goes near or by or over or something like that years ago, and that I encourage you to do it. It's and it. I hear that the PCT. I'm sure you read some of the books. The through hiking broke my heart, or what's Kara Quinn's title of her book?
Oh, Through Hiking Broke My Heart. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, she probably, for me, and I think Ben, I mentioned her when we got together because she just rolls through her book. It seems like every day you're up and you're getting beat around, and no holds barred. And I think her view of the PCT, if you plan on doing that, I would certainly encourage you to read that, because it would get you in the mood about, okay, we're going to get rousted around again. But Kurt Quinn certainly did a good job.
Be good.
This year too, we're planning on doing trail magic on the AT in
Oh,
March.
good.
If you want to join us.
We'll certainly try. March may be during after the surgery though, and I am the chief nurse, and basically Linda for a number of month and a half or so, she's really can't do for herself, and is so that timing isn't good. I don't know what Trail Days looks like in May. If you First of all, if they're going to have it. Second of all, if I would encourage people to go or not, depends on vaccines, and I'm sure that people will do the right thing, but still, we'll see.
If they have it, I think we'll try and make it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that depending on when Linda's knee's okay, she's been there the year after I left, and those are your people. Trail Days just have Crawfords everywhere, and everybody you see, even though, I finished in 82, but they did the same rocks that you did. And all of a sudden they're your brothers and sisters, and it doesn't make any difference. And so they have this parade at the end where they go by years. And I want to tell you that when I did it, the 2018 year, our group was well represented, and so many people that certainly knew who you were. And it's in Damascus, which is a great trail town for sure. And there's music and food, and the tent city is rather crazy, and everybody would certainly enjoy it. And you probably need chaperones if you walk through, though, because of your celebrity. But yeah,
us and you now.
What's that?
I said us and you, the star of the book.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but I certainly encourage people to go to Trail Days, because you do get that really good spirit, and mainly it's is when maybe you're at a booth or at a bar or a restaurant, or just sitting around listening to music, and then somebody comes up and starts talking about a experience or whatever, or when you meet people that you met on the trail, it is, there's hugs and tears, and it's like, oh my goodness, whatever happened to you? Maybe you only knew them for 3 days, but they were your long lost cousins that you lost track of.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can think of? This has been really good for me. I once again, just reading the book, just say, oh God, it's sort of like a Bible book, because it means that somebody knows what that experience was like, and it becomes even more important than it was when I first read it, because it, like I said, it's like the Bible that can explain the truth of what that trail was like. And I think Ben, and I know everybody had a part of it. You guys nailed it.
Have you got feedback from friends and family in terms of that feel like they understand what you went through?
Oh yeah, the ones that I like, friends and family, they, many like my nephew Evan started, and then he finished with me when we went back to the McAfee's Knob where the fire was, and so he got he just read it right away. But the more important one, sort of my friends said, I haven't seen it in a while. They're spread all around the country, and they're, they got it on Kindle or whatever, and they're just they would. Oh my goodness, this is you, Bill. I'm just so happy that that you're still doing what we used to do years and years ago. And then they start telling you their dreams of what they hope to do. And so it really connects with so many people, and just not the Appalachian Trail community, but people you have no idea who they are, all around the world. So I think you've really touched some people.
Well, Bill, you were one of the people I was most excited to read it. So it was really fun for me that you enjoyed it. And I remember seeing you with a picture of like 5 copies, and I was like, man, You must really be enjoying it. But I had you in mind a lot. It was such a funny experience because, everyone quit hiking. And then I spent almost 2 years researching and writing and going through our journals and our videos day by day by day and reliving all these memories chronologically. And I mean, I rewrote the story probably 5 times of meeting you again, at that lake in New York, and just
Oh,
how
yeah.
that felt, and the pizza and the Chinese food. I mean, so many crazy things happened. And I didn't feel like I would have gotten it if I wouldn't have gone through the journals and the videos and the maps, because it all happened so quick and there was so much there.
Yeah,
Every day there was so much.
right.
I mean, I think that pizza was the same day we had the Chinese food, or maybe it was the next.
It was the, yeah. So she brought the pizza, and we took a break, and after that we went down to the lake. I think some of us went swimming, right? I
Yeah.
think we
And
did.
they told us
And-
we had to get out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They said we had to leave. And then I thought we were going to camp right there. Because some of my did you ever meet Toons? Toons was a physicist from Montana. He had a Martin backpacking guitar that I had dropped my battery brick, like a week before. There was a strange convent that we camped at. It was a Franciscan something or other, and for some reason I left it there, and I got ahead of those guys. And Toons, I, only because I had my name. But anyhow, he caught me, and so we had a rendezvous with a bunch of people there, and I thought, okay, I know where the camp right here. And he's, no, we're going on more. And okay, which was good. But then I got to have bubble tea for the first time in my life. And I am now hooked, and I know all the bubble tea places within 20 miles of my house. And then the people that joined us there, there's too many stories, but Paul and Mags, they were from England. They were section hikers. Do you remember them at all? They were there in maybe you wouldn't have, because of the fact that we were sort of traveling with these groups of people, and through hikers a little faster, and they got not burnt out, but they got off the trail. And so they decided that they missed their little bubble. So they hire a cab or a shuttle.
I remember that.
Put them up to where, and I said, Paul, Max, you were the coolest people. And up until that point, I thought, section hikers, blah, blah, blah. But I thought people coming from England who just can enjoy the trail community and the people in it, and do it the way they, hike their own hike. It was very, very cool.
I totally forgot about that story. Those people that took the cab to catch up with their bubble. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And did you ever meet Herbert Herger? He's the Austrian that every year hiked a month on the AT, and I caught him in the last month, and he finished Katahdin with me. And
I don't think we did, but you told me about him.
yeah, he's when you finish like that, and I got to know him for several weeks, and Kat and Eddie got to befriend him as well. Then did you meet Bags? She was another through. Well, anyhow, some of these people, I'm sure if you saw him at Trail Days, you would remember. But
Yeah.
Herbert, still that he's he sold his house, bought an apartment or a condo in a RV, but now they say he can't leave Austria. He's just driving around Austria. Anyhow, I'm sorry.
Well, Hops, it was wonderful catching up with you,
You too.
and seeing your face.
Yeah, if you think of anything else you want to do on the book, like this or some other things, just let me know. You know, if I think of any things that you can do to promote it, and I think Trail Days, there's probably some different thing. I know, who is the guy that said something, the Siler or something about the next shelter? Where's the next shelter or something? He wrote a book. What was his name?
Oh, who did do that?
He started with an S. But I encourage you just not to have a booth there in books and hey, you know, you could be more creative. That's all.
All right.
A backpack full.
All right, we'll have to talk then. And then maybe we'll do some videos with your top 10 hardest parts or favorite parts or something like that, because
Yeah,
it
I'll
would be
get a
fun
list
to-
together and maybe we can chime in, you know, I'll go back in the book and I'm sure some of these that you know, have highlighted too, and we'll work that out. Well, I can smell dinner cooking upstairs. I'm at my
All
son's
right,
book, so.
nice.
Okay, love you guys.
Bye, Hop.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.